So what I know about this location is that it's a historic building, and there have been many generations of the same family who have lived there, a farming practice, building the house itself. I think sort of a small amount of information that's there. What I do know is that the location itself has been investigated by paranormal investigators at some point, and there have been a lot of reports of occurrences there. Myself, I never make any assumptions, so I don't know what the sources of energy or phenomena has been there because I have never been there myself. I always like to go clean slate, knowing very little or nothing at all about the property. So what we're going to be doing today is the students are going to put their skills to the test. So they're going to take everything that they learned this morning in the morning workshop and apply it. And they're going to do that with my supervision or direction so that I can ensure that it's a good experience for them. And yeah, we're all really excited to be there. All right, so we've spent all morning learning about all of the layers or aspects that contribute to the energy in a space. That can be a spirit person, a discarnate entity, an object in the space, occurrences on the land, people who live there, people who did live there. You've learned about that, and so our next step here is to put your skills to the test, to do some skill development. So we're going to be heading off to a location, a fairly well-known historical location that has had a history of reported occurrences. I have no idea, having never been there myself, what the origin of these occurrences are that might be considered spiritual phenomena or paranormal activity in some way. So we're going to go find out. We're going to do our investigation. I'm going to be investigating alongside with you because I've never been there before either. And of course, I want to know about this place too. So before we head off, I just want to remind you that if anything in your experience bumps you a little bit into thoughts of fear or concern, and sometimes just strange occurrences can do that, it will be your responsibility as the psychic investigator to repower up your energy field, stand in your power, own that light. We are data collecting today. We're finding out what stories need to be told at this location. So, are we ready to do this? Yes. All right, let's head out. So we have some observation already going on in the house for us out here. Does anyone else get a sense of that already? Yeah. Good. This place has a pretty rich history. There's a lot of energy here. As soon as I walked into this space, I go a little bit jittery, which means that there's a lot of energy here, and there's activity too. Not one way or the other in terms of beneficial, non-beneficial. It simply is what it is at this point, but there is a lot going on here. I feel like this old kitchen feels sort of like a neutral space to me. It also feels like it must have been pushed out or been larger than this. Nothing much to report here. Okay, so that's a cold air coming straight out of there. I don't think oh, there's some light. Well, So this is a room with really low light. It doesn't have any natural light in it. And so when I walk into it, it feels like a really stagnant space. I also get a sense just sort of in this back area here, this might be a good little retreat spot for some interesting energy to sort of visit. Again, I don't feel it one way or the other in terms of higher or lower, just sort of interesting. Yeah, it's a busy little room. Okay, so this actual whole framing feels like there's just a lot of labor that's gone into this. A lot of skilled work, a lot of intensity in it. Kind of makes a big part of this space, actually. Well, that's an interesting staircase. Wow. Oh, look at all the names. I wonder if there's a William. Oh, there is. Okay, there. That's interesting. Okay, aside from all the names that we're looking at there, I do get the presence of lots of kids here. But it feels like an imprint, so it's not people that are here now, but people that were. A great little spot to run up. I also feel like when I look out at that barn, there's a small little barn. I feel like there would have been a larger barn. Feels much bigger than that to me. So I'll have to check on that if that's historically, if that's correct, but it feels like this is small and I'm looking at something a lot bigger that was here. Lots of time spent in there. With kids working. Feels like there's kids working. I don't feel any children present here now in terms of spirit beings. Not yet anyway. I'll come back to this spot. Whoops. Yes, okay, so just where I'm standing right now, I can hear a piano being played. There had to have been a piano player. Is that an organ or a desk? I can't tell. I'll have to look. But I can hear piano playing, which is again just an imprint of this space. Imprints are historical happenings, signatures, energetic fingerprints of things that have happened in a location, and this space is ripe with them. So this looks like a front door. For me, I have a feeling like this is the designated front door of this home, but there must have been entries in a main entry in another spot, because I feel like this is like a special entrance, something along those lines. Okay. Did anyone get a sense of someone smoking a pipe here? Did you really?
Smoking.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just got that same thing.
And here's your piano music.
Is it? I couldn't tell if that was a desk. Is it a piano? Okay, yeah. I'm not sure if that is the one that would be original to this place, but someone must have played a piano here because I could hear the music coming in there. Mm-hmm. Great about smoke, hey? Mm-hmm. No, it's just an imprint. It's not a spirit person there. So that's really fascinating. And I don't necessarily feel like it didn't have to have been this couch, but this room, that's for sure. Back in the days when there were no TVs. Okay. I think I need to take back what I said, that we don't have any children spirits here. Feels very easygoing, but here nonetheless. It just feels like a safe place for him. Maybe 8, 10, 12, something like that. You know, it's interesting. Sometimes spirits want themselves to be well known, and they'll create physical phenomena to let you know that this little dude, he feels pretty calm, pretty relaxed, not really doing too much, but for whatever reason feels like this is a safe spot for him. I do feel like this is a really quick passing or sudden and unexpected, and it feels like there's a whole lot of trauma or drama around this passing. And it actually feels like this would have occurred either, I'm not sure if it's in this house or on this land, but it's happened here, in this, I don't know, maybe plot of land. So when I first noticed him, he was just off in this corner, and then noticed that I noticed him. And it'll be interesting to see if we pick any phenomena up on the camera, but sort of got up and moved when he noticed that I noticed him. So even right there, so something just flickered in that mirror right there. Maybe you can, maybe we'll have a look at it. Okay. So I have no visual of where that spirit is now. Here and then moved. Sometimes in investigation work, we are requested to help spirits move on in their journey, and other times it's not a concern for the people who are here. So for this workshop that we're teaching today, and the students are practicing, they're not practicing that level of work. And so if we notice spirits here, we'll simply notice them and talk about them. And that's all that we'll do. Basement is here. So are there lights down here? One light, maybe? Rear floodlights? No. Well, let's do this. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, we don't have lights over there. Over here. Yeah, there's a lot of history here. Lots of imprints of people pulling rocks. Oh, this is it, stone, bringing the stone in. Definitely some food gathering here. Workers too, people that didn't live here but worked here to create this place. Did you hit that? Okay. And I actually feel like something's been dug out more. I don't know what that means. Maybe this isn't the original footprint of this basement. Something slightly more contemporary has happened here. I want to walk in that space, but it's pitch black and I can't see where I would be going. One thing I feel, and usually if we have dark spaces, literally spaces that don't get a lot of light, they tend to be places that if there's a spirit presence or ghost presence and they don't want to be discovered, those will be the places they retreat to. My initial feeling here is that nothing is retreating here, which is super. As I mentioned, the two spirits that I've encountered so far feel fairly close to neutral, not causing any issues here. So I guess that does the basement. I'm just going to walk to the top of the stairs. So we can't go in the rooms up there, but you can go up to the top of the stairs.
Okay.
Okay. So we can't do a lot of exploring in the upstairs, but as soon as I went up there, let's see, there's an exterior window on the far left when we were staring at it. That's where the woman was looking out at us, and I just saw her in there with, looks like I don't know what, I have no idea what that's called, maybe a spinning wheel or something like that. I don't feel like she made stuff because she had to, but it might have been for, yeah, I don't know, maybe something along those lines, like some type of a fabric and needle sort of thing. But the other interesting thing is that when I looked at the small room on the other side, I also have a man spirit in there. There's a male in there, and he's pretty big-chested and very bold and strong, knows himself well. These three people, the woman, the male, and that younger boy, maybe 8, 10, 12, they're all connected. And I actually feel like the man and the woman would have easily transitioned on their journey if the young male had, but he didn't. And so it feels like they are here together. I do feel, though, that, and this isn't the case for a lot of places, but I do feel like it feels quite benign to me, like not really a concern, not, we could help them if that's what we were here to do, but today, as I mentioned, that's not what we're here to do. Feels very benign, like caretakers of the space and invested in this location for sure. And I feel like there would have been a lot of love and connection between them when they were here still in form. But that's what I feel is present here right now. That's what's happening here. And even just now as I'm speaking to you, a whole white shadow fuzz just went right in front of my eyes, just between me and that wall there. So, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so whether a place has been occupied for hundreds of years, generations or generations, that place can be entirely vacant of discarnate beings. It doesn't mean a thing that a place is old, that there are any spirits there at all. For this particular place, I had no idea what I would encounter, and up until a certain point, I didn't have any sense of children, and then that changed a few minutes later as I went into further spaces in the house. So just because a place is old doesn't mean anything interesting is going on there. In this case, there are a couple of interesting things going on, and that's sort of how it is.
Okay.
From a psychic perspective, there are more layers of energy in an older space because it has usually older things in it. Older things have a longer history. It's like the book is longer Do you know what I mean? As opposed to something with a history of 2 or 3 years, the book's pretty thin. There's only so much discovery that can happen there. In a historic space, that book is pretty thick, and you can get into some pretty good details. So for me, in terms of furniture, most of the things that have stood out for me so far, and I haven't spent a lot of time in detail of furniture, except for the moldings in this house, they seem really important. They seem really like a point of identification, even for the spirits that are here. This is like familiar to them, and I feel like a lot of these other things aren't really. So it's also quite likely then, and perhaps we'll be able to verify it through data. It's quite possible that the time frame that the spirits who are here inhabited this place predates a lot of the stuff that's here. So maybe we can find out, maybe we can't.
Very interesting.
So I just picked up that when I was talking about the spirits here, sort of a benign feeling to them, but this female energy, this mom type energy, she's a little bit worried now. She just gave me a feeling of like concern, maybe a bit of panic, like we're going to separate them. So I'm just going to let her know that we're not doing that, and that she's good in her space right now. But I just got a sort of a message from her, communication from her from upstairs. She's worried now. I'm just letting her know that we're just observing. No one's doing anything, and we'll leave and be on our way, and she'll be on her way. And just stay there. She's just going to stay up there. Okay.
Yeah, so much. Well, we started outside, came inside. We'll stick with the house. So I wanted to go down the basement first and work my way up. The basement I felt was clear. So while I was on that side of the house, there was an elderly gentleman, and then later joined by an elderly woman. They were married. They're very nice and like a positive energy. I feel they've crossed over, and they're very welcoming, not minding us here. And down the basement, I found it really clear, and also that they had a pride that the basement is so clean. It felt like really positive down there. Came up here. Let's see, the pantry, kitchen area over there, I didn't feel much more than like imprints of, people kneading bread and just general kitchen stuff. But over in the dining room, it felt like a lower vibration in the dining room. And it zoned in over on the corner near the door that leads to that side of the house. Yeah, so then over to this room, the first thing I felt was that there was a girl and she would play violin, while other people would play the piano or harpsichord, and different people would play piano or harpsichord, and she would play to the violin to them. Like there was more than one person who could play piano or harpsichord, but she was the one who would play violin along with them. And I had it's more of an imprint though. I don't see her spirit wandering the room. And upstairs there was an imprint of her room being there and her bed against that wall in this corner. And before we came in, I also had a sense that that large tree in the front, it may have been planted by children. Children liked it, like the tree was liked by children. So in this room, I'm feeling the energy of a man, and I'm seeing he's a handsome, vibrant man. To me, he's wearing really old school clothes, like, those gray socks that come up to here and the pants come down below the knee, that kind of an outfit. And he's angry. He's, just kind of throwing his anger around at people generally. And, I feel his energy is still here. To me, when I was upstairs, we'll get to upstairs in a minute, but when I was upstairs, I was asking the question, is there any lower vibration energy in this house? Again, my attention was drawn down here to him and this anger, and I feel like he's not crossed over, like he's stuck in this, and it's not an imprint. The anger still exists. A spirit who's crossed over isn't going to have anger, right? They're not going to have that sort of vibration to them at all. People who've crossed over are very peaceful and happy. Over there, that corner, was the corner where the children would stand in the corner. Go stand in the corner. That corner there, I see imprint of the child standing there, you know, when they used to be bad and you would stand in the corner, it was that corner. And there was the woman, I believe the angry fellow's wife, she would look out that back window sometimes. She would just stand there and gaze out the back. Again, this is an imprint. I feel she's crossed over. Oh, I'm getting the chills. We'll go with being on point. Yeah.
I was definitely born with it, but in order to know how to use it properly, I had to work on it. So I've been taking workshops and practicing and getting experience to fine-tune my craft, for sure. Well, I know my power, and my guides, they take very good care of me, and I just make sure that I clear all that energy before I leave. And I thank the spirits and the guides for their help while I was here. And I leave with respect. So I'm here just as an observer. I'm not here to change anything or make any changes here on this property or this land.
I'm just remembering, because we were talking about smelling, there's a closet over there with an old lamp, and there's actually 3, but one of them, maybe there was, I think there's 3 like tall standing lamps in the closet over there. One of them specifically was next to, I believe, the gentleman, the friendly one, the heavyset guy, who like first, you know, met up with us outside. It was next to his leisure chair, and he would be smoking next to it, this lamp. Yeah, but yeah, we write things down so we don't forget. I've got about 3 pages of stuff.
Well, it sounds like we're all on the same page, yeah? Yeah. You know, when we came into this space, I wasn't sure what we were going to encounter because I'd never been here before either. But I think it's safe to say that it has a lot of rich history. These walls tell a lot of stories, and that it's also not an empty space. Yeah?
Yeah.